Good morning, everybody. This is Marsha Nathai-Balkissoon coming to you with the Changemaker interview series. And today I'm excited to have a strong and beautiful woman, Sarita Rampersad,
Hi,
bringing a
everybody.
message to us. Welcome, Sarita.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to be here. I met Sarita through the guy in orange on the screen. His name is Omar Ali. And Omar went to university with me 25 years ago. Lucky to say that we are still in touch, and he is a very inspiring and supportive guy. And he is now bringing Sarita into my world, and I feel so much better for it. Sarita is a photographer. She does both photography of people and of nature. And she works largely with industry to do enterprise photos, but she also sells her photos to individuals. She has a photography site, and she will tell us about that at one point in the interview. And she
Yeah.
also has a very cheeky page called Sarita Says Fork Cancer. And I shouldn't say that with my Trini accent. I should say fork cancer.
Yes.
To make
So
sure
little
that you all
clearer.
don't make a mistake.
Yep.
So, Sarita, I'd love to
Yes.
start just by hearing from you about what led you into photography in the first place.
Oh my God. Okay, so I actually started in law. And my parents died like 3 years apart from each other when I was like 32 and then like 35. And I realized life was too short. And I never liked law. So I thought, oh my God, what could I do? Because I didn't think I was good at anything. And I had a friend in advertising. She was working in the production part of it. And I said, I could write ads, because I'd look at ads on TV and think I could do better. So I said, you know what, how you write an ad? Give me the format, like a template that I could follow. So she sent a template and I did like 5 ads like in one afternoon, and I sent it out with my resume the next day. So this was Sunday, Monday. And I got a phone call saying come in for an interview that week. And I got hired that week at CMB. So I thought, oh my God, okay, I have some talent. So I went into advertising. And I was at CMB for a while, and I moved to another company. And when I was there, they wanted me, I moved into like production and directing, as well as copy. So I was kind of an all-rounder because it was small. And they wanted some ads, some like, mock-ups done for campaigns. And my boss was like, you have an eye. I said, all right, I'll go and shoot some pictures and stuff. And that is actually how it started. So in 2005 is when I actually picked up a camera to shoot for something. Prior to that, my mother was the photographer in the family, and she would pop up and take pictures of you at your least flattering. It was highly embarrassing. And I got an aversion to being in front of a camera and video camera from that. So, I'm more comfortable behind one. But yeah, and that's how it started.
Okay.
And then I moved into like commercial and industrial and corporate more. I've done a few weddings and stuff, but I cut that down to just people that I really like or know.
Okay, I will ingratiate myself to you then.
If you're getting married, sure, no problem.
Yeah, no, not going to happen again, Sarita.
Yeah, well, I'll do a headshot for you.
Thank you, but that's not what I was hitting you up for, so don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Sarita, I see you are wearing, because of your artistic bent,
Yes.
I figure that you just love to wear art as well. I posted a picture of you in a really nice jumpsuit, and this looks like a version of it.
This is it. This is the one. This is my James Hackett Lush Kingdom original. So he's a local designer, great friend, and I love onesies. Usually they're really more utilitarian than this, boiler suits, which I take credit for bringing back into fashion. All those people like Ralph Lauren and things who jump on the bandwagon now, it's me. I brought them back. So I've been wearing them since 2006. Anyway, so he had, like he does these great designs, right? And I have actually bought dresses. So the only person, I told him, the only person that could put me in a dress is him, because he has these great designs, right? The Lush Kingdom, check him out. And he had onesies. Like he said, I could do a onesie for you. I have this thing in my mind. And he did. And it was a white one version to this, because this is my design. This is my Iron Man. So this is a Trini, you see? That is the small design to what I have on the whole jumper.
Okay.
And he did the white one, and I actually got it shortly before I started chemo. So when I started, I wore it because, I thought color, and I shaved my head and I dyed it pink, although it came out more red than pink. So I was really colorful for that first chemo cycle. And I went, and I didn't realize you had to like take your blood pressure and stuff there. So to get my arm out of the sleeve was a bit of a problem, and I ended up flashing everybody in the room inadvertently. And a man got sick, and I tried not to take it personally, but it's quite hard not to. And when I had that problem, I was like, James, I need some zips put into this thing. So they put zips, and they hid these zips, and they're great. So every time I go for chemo, I wear that one outfit, and people love it. They're like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Because it really is. But yeah, so this is my James Hackett blush.
So when will your Fork Cancer page start carrying the Fork Cancer line of clothes?
Huh. Well, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I'll have to get somebody like James to design it for me. But
yeah, I guess all your friends from doing chemo going to line up to buy those things, and many more people too, right?
Well, I mean, friends of mine. So like an old group of school friends who, we grew up together. Still close. They actually designed a T-shirt that said attitude is a small thing that makes a huge difference. It's a Winston Churchill thing. And they all signed it. So they all have a copy of that shirt. So they all wear it on the days that I have chemo. Quite cute.
You have amazing friends and family from what you heard while we were talking off camera. Could you start us off by telling us how your journey with cancer began?
Sure. So September last year, so September 2020, around mid-September, I felt like my underarm, my left underarm was swollen and tender, and it felt like a pulled muscle. And I have never been to the doctor. I always ignore a problem till it goes away. But this was nagging at me for some reason. It just was not leaving my mind. I was worried about it for 2 weeks. I thought it was PMS, but it didn't go away. And I thought, oh God, I have to get this thing checked out. So I asked a friend of mine to make an appointment with her doctor, who's Jackie Sabdo. And she did. So I got the appointment in 2 days. Went to see Jackie, and she said, it could be an infection because I had just changed deodorant. But she said she would also refer me for an ultrasound and mammogram as well, which I could do after the course of antibiotics was done. But when I left her, I thought, what, let me just go and make this appointment one time, see if I could get it before. So, because she put me on to Dr. Peters in Tragreed Road, he did the ultrasound. And so I called them on the Monday afternoon when I left by Jackie and asked them for the earliest appointment. And I said, I'd appreciate it as early as possible. So they said, okay, send the referral and we'll see what we could do, because the date they had was like the 9th of October, which was too long for me. And they actually called Tuesday morning and said, come, the doctor's here. He said he'll see you if you could come now. So I went now.
That's the next day you got an appointment?
Yeah, the next day, the next morning. So I went, and he did the ultrasound. And I mean, he was, we were chatting and stuff before. When he did the ultrasound, he got a little serious. And he said, okay, he's seeing these spots, he's seeing this, he's seeing like 2 places in the breast as well as under the arm, in the lymph nodes. And I needed to get a mammogram. So he said, West Shore, the person will be there at West Shore today at 2. He'll call and tell them to expect me. So of course, I knew it was something serious, because you don't go for an ultrasound and same-day mammogram without having a problem, right? So I went at 2. They did the mammogram, and they said, okay, the report will be ready the next day. So they called me and said, come in for it on Wednesday. And he was there waiting to talk to me. And he said, you came in to see me for a reason. And there's calcification, which is indicative of breast cancer. So when he did the ultrasound, so the scale of breast cancer is a BI-RAD scale, right? Of the imaging scale. So it's from like 0 to 6. 0 is nothing, 6 is cancer. When he did the ultrasound, it was BI-RADS 4. When they did the mammogram, it was BI-RADS 5. And it showed calcification and scatter, as well as in the lymph node.
And when you say scatter, what does that mean?
It wasn't just like a lump. It was scattered. So it was a lump with like starbursts all over it. So cancer cells and calcification had started to like spread.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he said, based on that, he would want me to have a breast MRI done to see just how much spread it was and how far it went. And of course, to check the other one too, because you never know. So that was the Wednesday I spoke to him. I got the appointment for the breast MRI on the Saturday, went to the MRI center and did that and waited about maybe half a week for those results. And those came back, and my other breast was unremarkable, which was great because I never thought I'd wanted to hear my breast described as unremarkable, but I would take that because that meant no cancer. So unremarkable is good now. The other one obviously had calcification, and it was the way it was spread. They thought they had to do a full body CT just to make sure it didn't spread anywhere else. So I did that. That I think I got it for the next day. So yeah, I got the results Wednesday. I went for the CT on Tuesday. And did that, and then they did the biopsy on the Friday, and then I waited another half a week or so for those results. Of course, in the meantime, I was Googling every possible thing imaginable to do with breast cancer, because my goal was to make myself as strong as possible, right? So, I mean, I read a book that Madeline actually gave me, Dr. Jane Plant, Your Life in Your Hands, right? Which was a great book to read because it made you feel like cancer was something you could have control over instead of just waiting powerlessly while this thing either took you over or left you alone. And her, because she's a scientist and she had breast cancer. So she did all the research necessary. And so her like dietary advice and her just tips and tricks, things that you don't know. And I have never come across it anywhere else but in that book that I tried to put together, anything that I shared with you earlier. Okay. Because I did a cancer cheat sheet. And I put all the tips that I actually got in one place. And I keep updating it. Anyway, so this book was really helpful. And when I read it, I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to change my diet, cut out dairy, cut out red meat, cut out sugar, which I'd already kind of done because I was doing keto before, but I was eating a lot of dairy as a result of doing keto. Cut all that out. And just focused on like chicken and fish, lean meats, lean white meat, fruits and vegetables. And it made a huge difference. Ironically, cancer has made me a lot more healthy than I was. Like I feel great. And I'm a lot healthier with cancer than when I didn't know I had it. So diet actually makes a huge, huge difference in how you feel and how you respond.
Do you think that your changes in diet have boosted your energy?
Yes.
Therefore, it's helping you with going through chemo?
Most definitely. Most definitely. For sure. Because I haven't been exercising, unfortunately.
I've heard people say that sugar feeds cancer cells.
It does, and so does dairy, depending on the kind of cancer you have. So my kind of cancer is not hormone positive. I have HER2 positive, which is the growth factor aggressive one. And dairy and sugar feeds that kind of cancer. Like it just thrives on dairy protein and sugar. So I cut all that out. And I mean, I did my first cycle of chemo on the 25th of November. And right after that first cycle, like within like a week or two, I could feel the lump under my arm softening up. And I thought it was in my head. And I asked Dr. Capley, because he's my oncologist, if it's possible. And he said, yes, it's possible. So it means I was reacting to the chemo in a positive way, because it was actually having an effect. I had forgotten to mention that I had actually registered to go to St. James as a patient there. So, because I mean, it's free, the care is excellent. They're really, really good there.
Okay.
And so I registered early on. A friend of mine has a wife going to chemo there. I mean, she's been there for the last 5 years. And so he took me and showed me what to do to register. So I did that and got into the system. So I got the first chemo cycle for the 25th at St. James. The side effects after the first cycle were not great. I had extreme bone pain, extreme fatigue, constipation, and diarrhea, which is really confusing. And everything started to dry out. Like my hands started to dry out, my feet started, the skin was really, really dry. And it's all things that, in retrospect, you know, if I found out afterwards that I could have actually had some control over, because when I did all the research for all those things, and plus I have a cousin who's a doctor in the States and she has oncologist friends there. And they said Claritin for bone pain and nerve pain.
Oh my.
And they don't find that anywhere. I mean, I searched bone pain and chemo, didn't find it. When you search Claritin, not Claritin D, Claritin alone, you find all these articles about Claritin and bone pain for chemo. So I put all that in my thing. So everything that I've found that I think could be helpful is in that cheat sheet.
So I haven't heard you mention in that whole list of symptoms that you had following your first cycle of chemo. I didn't hear you mention nausea.
I was not nauseous, thank God. So my aunt had cancer 10 years ago, and she was on something called Zofran, with the generic name is Odanacetron. It's an anti-nausea pill. They've since had one stronger called Kytril, which is Granisetron, is the generic name. Those are really strong anti-nausea pills. So my aunt was like, you know, you should take this like the day before you start chemo, just to put it in your body. So I did. I did it the morning, the night, and the next morning before chemo. So I took the Zofran. I had no nausea. I have since had no nausea. Which,
and do you continue to take Zofran every time?
I take it the night before and the morning of chemo, not the morning before anymore, because they give you Kytril as well when you get there. And I also credit the no nausea and minimal side effects, because they say chemo is like a cumulative thing, so it'll keep adding up in your body and you'll get worse and worse and worse. I had real bad nerve pain, hands and feet after the first cycle. I couldn't walk. I couldn't rest my extremities down anywhere because it was like being stabbed with like hot needles through sponge. So if you stand up, you had no depth perception. I couldn't touch and feel anything, but it was painful. And they said I would just get worse. But I found articles that said that fasting, like calorie restriction, the day before, day up, and day after chemo, like not longer than 5 days, because you don't want to weaken yourself too much. But if you restrict the calories to like 700 calories for those 3 days, you basically what it is because cancer cells don't slow down, they're like Pac-Man. They just keep going, they keep gobbling up everything and they keep spreading.
Right.
But if you restrict the calories, you make your healthy cells sleepier, right? And they don't respond as quickly and they don't eat up the chemo that you get in, but the cancer would. So the cancer keeps eating the chemo and you spare your healthy cells a little bit from all of the damage, right?
Right.
I did that after cycle 1. So I started that for cycle 2. And my side effects have just gone down. Like I have nothing wrong with me really. I mean, my hair not growing back. I shaved my head before I started chemo so I wouldn't like be traumatized. But it's not growing back and I don't really care because I might keep the bald head like Umar. But yeah, I mean, so it's not just diet because I do ice my extremities during chemo. Okay. And then for the next 48 hours after chemo, I try to raise them above my heart, which is what Dr. Capello said to do, and put ice on them every like 20 minutes. So that's what I do for like the next 48 hours. So up to tonight, I'll be doing that anyway, because I tend to, do it as often as I could. Right. I mean, I'm not going out anyway, COVID, so.
So we have talked about your physical symptoms.
Yeah.
What about your emotional journey through this?
Whew, okay, so when you actually hear you have cancer, you're paranoid that something might be wrong with you. It is not a very nice place to be in because you don't know what to expect. I felt like a ticking time bomb because I didn't know what was what, and I was worrying, and I didn't have any focus for the worry because I didn't know what was the problem yet. Mm-hmm. So I was just researching possibilities, and they all centered on breast cancer because I had a feeling, but I didn't know what kind I had. So these searches were too wide to be really helpful. And I mean, because you have hormone positive, you could have hormone positive and HER2 positive. You could have HER2 positive and hormone negative, or you could have triple negative, which is the worst kind because it's the hardest kind to treat because you don't have any targeted drugs. For hormone and HER2, you have targeted drugs that you could take that they've developed that work pretty well. So I have HER2, and that actually helped me to focus my energy a little better when I found that out. But initially, I felt like I was going to drop dead at any minute. I didn't know how far it had spread. I had no idea what to expect.
It was fear that you were feeling? That's what.
I was fearful and horrified and depressed at the fact that this was September. I didn't know if I'd make it till Christmas.
Hmm.
That's how I felt. I felt like I didn't know if I'd be around for Christmas.
And what made it
But
different to you?
yes, so I felt
How did you transmute this fear and horror and other negativity into a more positive?
because I have real bad mind. And a friend of mine said that the people with bad mind get through and you have real bad mind. And I said, you know, you're right. I do have bad mind. And I thought about my little niece. She's 7. And I thought, you know, I need to see this child grow up. And so dying is not an option. There have a lot of people with cancer that are alive. So why would I be the one to die, you know? And as far as possible, I would try to make myself as strong as I could to fight the cancer as best as I can. And that was that. I mean, a switch flipped in my brain and that was it. And I have not been down since.
And
Because,
so the tagline grew, even if the tagline didn't exist yet. It was the
yeah, it
fourth
was for
cancer
cancer.
I
Yeah,
live.
screw this. It's not
Nothing
going to
is
take
going
long.
to
I
cause
will
me
happen
to
to
be.
cancer. Cancer not happening to me. No. Yeah. I'm not a victim in this thing at all. I refuse to be a victim. I felt like a victim for the first 2 weeks and I thought, nah, it's not doing it for me. It was, it was, it was an option. And I realized, because you know, sometimes you think, oh, life is so hard and maybe the alternative mightn't be so bad to just cease to exist. Because you know, you go through periods, right?
Mhm.
But this made me realize I just want to live. Dying is not an option. So it's not an option. And that
So
is that.
when did you create the Sarita Says for Cancer page?
So my friends did that for me as part of a fundraising because one of the drugs that I need for the HER2 positive cancer type, specifically, they don't have in St. James. So I have to buy that. Perjeta. They have the other one available, but not this one. And that is like $28,000 a dose. And I need 18 to 20 doses. So every 3 weeks, I have to go and get these 2 drugs. Even after chemo is done, I have to go back every 3 weeks for 2 infusions. And I heard the price of that thing. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because cancer is not cheap. I mean, you know, being sick generally is not cheap, but holy crap, it is a lot of money. And when my friends heard that, they took it upon themselves, friends and family. So my brother started a GoFundMe in the States because he lives there. My cousin started a booby queue and a curry queue to save my boobs. And my friends got together in this committee that they created and came up with a plan. So they did a website. They asked me for permission to put the story out first because they said, you know, you're going to have to let people know what's wrong if you have to raise funds. So I said, all right, fine, I'll do that. And so they put it together. They put it together thinking October. Yeah, that same month. That same month.
Wow.
That same month that I got diagnosed. Yeah.
You have
I'm
quite
sorry
a
if you see my eye jump in, it's very distracting. I'm not winking at anybody specifically. You let it go in. Yeah,
I think Omar doesn't mind having somebody wink at him anymore.
it's true, it's true.
So my question is, if if somebody is just starting this journey,
Yeah.
what would you advise them as the top 3 things that they should do? And this would be for physical as well as emotional well-being.
Okay, so I would strongly advise that you change your diet because that's a huge, huge, huge difference. Tiniest little piece of arugula could make a difference. I mean, if you do have, sorry, if you hear my aunt, she having an argument with Flo in the background. Yeah. Because I actually moved in with her in August because I was redoing my roof. So I've been here since because she just had to stay because, you know. Anyway, diet is a huge thing. You're stronger than you know. So if you think you can't cope with something, you probably could. I thought if I heard anything was wrong with me, I would drop dead within a week because I didn't think I could cope with knowing anything was seriously wrong.
Mhm.
But you could. And you don't have to go through this alone because even if you don't have friends and family who understand or who are there are resources that exist. Like they have WhatsApp groups. In St. James, there's a library where you could go and get information. They have people there at St. James who would talk to you as well. A neighbor of mine is a survivor. She had cancer, like I think 10 years ago, or even longer. And she said, there's this WhatsApp group that exists that Dr. Della Costa had put together. And if I wanted to join, whenever I was ready to join, she would just add me. So I said, all right, cool, no problem. Um, and she did. And it's a really good inspirational touch point to have people who they're going through it with you. They've survived it. They've been alive for the last 20 years. And they're still around. So, why would I be the one to kaput and die? There's no, I mean, it's a good, it's good to have the support. You don't have to participate in a group, but just knowing that they're there and you could chime in and ask questions if you need to, it's great. And I mean, I actually met one of the girls from the WhatsApp group on Wednesday when I went for chemo. She was there. And it was cool, it was like meeting an old friend. And even we just met like in October, November, but yeah, it's good. It's good. So I would say diet, believe in yourself that you could get through it, and to seek out support. I mean, there are people like me. You could message me, and ask me questions. I've had people doing it since I came out with the story. So I'm more than happy to help.
Right. So just for those who may have joined a little bit later, when we talk changing diet, Sarita strongly recommends release sugar.
Sugar and dairy.
Release dairy.
Sugar and dairy.
And when we say dairy, it's not milk only, milk products.
No, milk, butter, yogurt, cream, anything like that.
And embrace fruit and vegetables, especially vegetables. And I would assume...
I would say fruit and vegetables and lean meat, like chicken and fish.
Okay. And then the other one
try to cut meat out as much as possible as well, but God, it's so hard. Anyway.
A largely plant-based diet is your recommendation.
Well, if possible. I mean, I'm not telling you to do it, but just make smart choices,
Okay.
Just like fish and chicken is fine. Organic is better if you could find it, but it's difficult in Trinidad. There are a couple places you could check on Facebook that have like organic chicken farm. I think is one of them. And yeah. So, I mean, you have to search a little bit, but if you can't find organic, just wash your stuff. Wash off the pesticides.
The other thing I heard from you is own it. This is what is happening. Make sure that you believe in the strength of yourself to overcome this thing. So don't hide from it. And the third one is build community.
Yes.
Even if you don't have real world community, you have virtual community, and they become very quickly your people.
Yeah. And trust science. I mean, just trust the science to get you through it. I know a lot of people that have gone the alternative route, and alternative by itself doesn't really add up to a lot of success. But I mean, you could supplement the science with it if it makes sense, and you clear it with your doctors first. But the doctors really are invested in getting you through cancer. So trust science, trust your doctors, but be your own advocate. Because I mean, they see so many people, and it's hard for them to keep track of you, right? So if you have to be aware of the treatment you need, be aware of your cycles, be aware of the procedure, and follow up. And if they let something slide, message them, call them, make sure that you're on top of your own health, because nobody else will do that for you. You have to do it for yourself. You have to make sure that you are on top of yourself and what you need to do. When I go to St. James, even though they have my charts and they know what to do, I make sure everything that they put, it's like, okay, that's the progesterone, that's the Herceptin, that is the docetaxel, that's the carboplatin. Did you flush it with the heparin? Because I have a port. I put in a port early on. So that is it there. I don't know if y'all could see it. Yeah. I don't want to flush anybody, but yeah. So I had put in a port, and you need to flush it every 3 weeks, every time you go. Right. But I actually didn't have it on my chart on Wednesday. So when I asked, they said, it's not on your chart. It's like, no, the doctor said every 3 weeks. So they did it. But you need to know. You need to be aware at all stages. At all stages. You have to be your own advocate.
All right. So if you are up to it, Sarita, I'd like to open the call up to everybody here to do a Q&A. I have Susan Otway here. She said she has to leave soon, but I would love to invite her if she's around.
Hi, Susan.
Converse with you.
Sure.
You can open up your mic and your video if you wish. And ask anything you want, Madeline, Omar.
I would just say that, Sarita, it just appears that the time when you were saying that you were more sort of frightened and didn't think you could make it is when you weren't armed with the facts. You know, and once you're given the facts of this is the result, this is the result, this is what you're dealing with, you did your own research. And once you had the knowledge, then you could move forward with that. But if people are left a bit in the dark and don't maybe take the initiative and just find out exactly what is what, then, you know, then you really have no confidence.
No, and you panic. And you do yourself some harm, I think, when you don't wait for what you need to know. You actually start to Google. Because I was in a real panic. I mean, I honestly thought I was going to die. I had no idea what was what. And I went to the worst case scenario, which is actually not that bad sometimes, because when it downgraded to just HER2 with lymph nodes, I thought, okay, I don't have brain cancer anymore. I don't have like anything in my lung. That's fine. I could deal with that, right? So on one hand, it helped to have a worst case scenario going on in my brain, but it would have been a little more helpful if I had like facts quicker.
Yes, I think that's what people have to take into consideration, how scary it is for the patient and how not knowing and being left to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, when I was, so I did my fourth cycle of chemo in St. James. And when they did the manual exam, they didn't find anything in the left breast, which was the bad breast, but they felt something in the right breast. I thought, oh my God. So the surgeon said, you know, I want to do a biopsy. So I said, all right, fine. But of course, waiting for the results of the biopsy is not fun, because if I had nothing in that breast before, and then all of a sudden they could feel something, it meant it could either be triple negative, which is extremely fast growing, which is not good at all, or, you know, a cyst, which is nothing, but you don't know. So of course I searched everything on triple negative. I searched for synchronous cancer while on chemo, and you learn these terms when you're searching all over and you can't find anything, and then you think, oh my God. In the littlest footnote, you see a word called synchronous, and you search that, and then it comes up with something. So, I mean, all that is just, it sends you into a little tailspin, which is, as it turns out, it was just a cyst, which is good, because I'm actually going to take off both breasts anyway, so I don't care. Cyst away.
So you have decided to use a preventive approach, which is a double mastectomy.
Correct. I take it in front literally and figuratively. I don't want this thing to pop up anymore. Gone. Hopefully I'm a candidate for reconstruction, but I mean, anyway you take it, it'll be off. I'm cutting them off.
There's a question I had to ask that I forgot while we were interviewing. You said that the breast cancer was discovered because you had a lump under your arm. This was not in your breast, it was under your arm. And so, many women feel that breast cancer happens here, but your breast tissue continues all the way up here.
So it starts in your breast, but it spreads to your lymph nodes very easily. And like I've always had like cystic breasts, so I again never do self-checks, never. I mean, I'm just a, you know.
What do you mean by cystic breast? Like lumpy tissue?
Lumpy tissue, yeah. So I mean, you know, every so often you feel it up when you feel something, but I had no point of reference to what cancer felt like, right? Because I was never very careful with my health. It was just very, you know, if you don't acknowledge something, it'll go away, right? But the underarm is what was nagging at me because it was normal. It didn't feel normal. And yeah, so that's what actually prompted me to go see the doctor. Because the breast, I didn't feel anything. I mean, I didn't check. I didn't know what to feel for.
What's the recommendation for checking? How often and how?
Well, I mean, now that I have it, I'm going to be checking every 6 months to a year for anything generally. I might just go for a full body scan yearly. I don't know, whatever they tell me to do, I'll do.
What have you learned about, you know, like just doing self-checks? Should people be checking like once a month?
I do think you should be aware of what your breasts feel like and under your arms feel like, because it would stand you in good stead. And what Jackie Sabga did is when she did the examination, she actually drew it. So she drew the breast, she drew like lumps wherever she felt it. So I think if you could draw your own chart, you could see what changes, right? And if it feels big, or if it's some more added on.
I never thought of that. So do a
Yeah, I
baseline
never thought
diagram
about
of
it.
your breast so that
Exactly.
you remember where you
Yes, so you remember where the lumps are, and you remember what you felt. And describe it, because the cancer actually felt like really hard peas, and everything else felt kind of, with the cancer felt like it had like definite edges, and the others really didn't. The cysts don't. They feel kind of spongy, but the cancer was hard.
Do you have guidelines on your for cancer page that people could see how to do a breast exam and guidelines like that?
I don't yet, but it's stuff that I intend to put up. Yes.
Okay. So anybody who wants to find out about the checklist that Sarita was talking about can go to her for cancer page. She updates that checklist. And you
It's
can
on, yeah,
also,
yeah,
at some time in the near future, you'll also see guidelines about how to do your self-checks.
yeah. The cancer cheat sheet is on the Facebook cancer page.
Okay.
It's not on the website yet.
All right. Back over to Madeline and Omar. Omar, any questions or comments?
Hear me? Hello?
Yes, here now.
Yeah. Yeah. Just well, I know Sarita from I don't know how long. We meet on a plane, right?
Yes, we met on a plane.
But just hearing the story and catching a few of the things, the bad mind part I like,
It's not a
right?
lie.
Is for me is a mindset, and some of the things that really struck me in the whole thing is that the switch,
Yeah,
right? Even for me personally, a lot of things that I go through or I face in everyday life, you see things, and once you switch your perspective, it helps change how you feel about stuff, and you just move forward
yeah,
again.
yeah,
And for
yeah.
me, I mean, when I saw Sarita post this thing, and then I see the switch that
Yeah, I
time, right?
mean,
That I was in Indonesia, and you know, I think, yeah, I was still in Indonesia. No, I had left because I left Indonesia in August, and everybody was telling me, you're stuck in Indonesia, but I wasn't stuck. I did the same flip thing.
exactly.
Two
Yeah.
we had the same. I mean, my hair
Yep.
growing back now, but
I
we
know,
had the
it's just
same. We
incredible.
had
You
the same.
just
Yeah,
shave it.
yeah. So we had the same mindset, and the same connections, and for me it's amazing that how we could connect. And I mean, thanks to Marsha for bringing this together and putting it in this way. I have
Yeah.
other friends too who, like, I have cousins who went through the breast cancer thing. I have another young friend who, she's probably mid 30s now, and she had one breast removed, and she told me the next one hurted.
Hmm.
So I want to link her with you. She's from Dago,
Okay.
right? I want to link her with you as well and see how we could work together to help her out as well. She have a good strong mindset too, but
Yes.
support is always support.
Exactly. Support is support.
You never have too much support. So
Yep. That's right.
thanks for making this happen, Marsha.
It was
Yeah.
my pleasure. So Sarita, I have one last thing then. You have a photography site. It's Sarita Photography, Sarita
Sarita
Rampersad.
Photography. No, SaritaPhotography.com is my professional site.
Okay,
I have Sarita says forkcancer.com, where I'm selling prints for fundraising for my drugs. I also have the Sarita says Fork Cancer page on Facebook, where you'll see more pictures, and you could just order through that page.
right. So viewers, if there's anybody who's interested in finding Sarita's photography products that she has up there, they are amazing. Check them out on her sites. Check out her clothing that she's starting to put up,
Well, not yet.
and
Yeah, yeah.
get in contact for other funding routes that she has opened on those sites as well. Sarita,
Yeah.
you are such a fighter, and you certainly are not doing this only for yourself. You may have started with your friends to do it for you, but your message is a powerful one that is supporting so many other people and it's going to make a difference.
I hope so.
After you put cancer in the dust.
Yeah, that is the plan. I hope you could share the cancer cheat sheet with people who because I sent it to you on the email, so you could download it and share it with your.
I will, but my plan is that if I could find the link into your page, I'll share it in the comments under the video. And that way people
Okay.
can always go into your page in order to get updates.
Okay, sure. Yeah, no problem.
It has been such a pleasure having you, Sarita.
Thank you
And
very
I hope that this is not the last time that we catch up. We would
No.
like when you
Post cancer. Yeah,
when you finish your cycle, I think you're into your last cycle now.
for chemo, but I have a whole year of IV drugs to still get, plus surgery and then radiation.
Okay.
So it's not, if all goes well, it'll be done by December.
I think all of us would celebrate along with you. You're welcome to come back in and give us an update at some point.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. All the best
Thanks,
to you.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
For joining us. Have a wonderful day.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.